I'm Steph Garcia Cichosz with the Wicker and AthleticDirectorU, and I am so excited to be joined on the ground at NACDA 2022 with John David Wicker, Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at San Diego State. JD, thank you so much for being here.
Stephanie, really excited to be here. Glad to be back in person at NACDA. It's been a minute, so it's fun to see a lot of people and appreciate the time with you guys and the work y'all do.
It's nice to not have that Zoom fatigue for another convention year. Well, it has been a tremendous year for the Aztecs. Lots of Mountain West titles across all programs, a 12-2 season for football. But what have been some of those under-the-radar wins for your department?
Obviously we're excited about what we've done athletically. 5 conference championships, 4 of them in the spring, and had a great end of the year. In football and men's basketball both participated in the postseason. So we do it well athletically, but I'm really excited academically. We had a 3.17, overall GPA for our student athletes, 412 scholar athletes, which means you've either got a cumulative 3.0 or you made a 3.2 during one of the past 2 semesters. And that's over 80% of our student athletes. So they're getting it done academically. And then we've got a life skills program called Aztec Going Pro that's a 4-credit class that you take your freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. So I think we have a best-in-class life skills program to help to help graduate good human beings when they leave our campus. So I'm proud of all the services that we provide our student athletes.
That's why we do what we do, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, obviously we want to talk about Aztec Stadium, and we will get there. But I want to start with where you were playing most recently, Dignity Health Sports Park up in Carson. That's not just around the corner from campus. How did that impact the fan experience and then largely donor relations?
Yeah, it was hard. Honestly, it was harder than I thought it would be to get our fan base to come up to Carson for what ended up being 1 season. But we had to do it to make sure when we opened the stadium, we had the best experience possible, allowed us to do all the site work. It was very beneficial to our overall institution because they're handling the site work. So they got started during COVID. So they're not dealing with the current, construction world as we know it. So they were able to get way ahead, save some money. They'll start generating revenue sooner. So because of all of that, we knew we needed to take football out of San Diego. And it definitely impacted the fan experience. Our donors, they understood why. It didn't mean they didn't grumble, but it's got them that much more excited about playing in San Diego.
Absolutely. So the momentum impact of it is positive in the end. But how did you have to strategically optimize your resources over the past few years of playing in some different locations?
Yeah, we were very thoughtful in what we did, made sure that we maximized. And we also looked at what would it cost us to stay in the old stadium. And honestly, moving to Carson, especially that first year, we probably saved money doing that. But also, from a resource standpoint, we knew that going into the new stadium, we were going to, see some significant resources. So even though we may have been a little shorter on the revenue side this year, worked with the institution to help us with that, knowing that next year we'll be able to, pay back basically what we weren't able to generate last year.
Well, earlier this spring, in the spring season, there was some great momentum with your season ticket sales for Aztec Stadium. What's the status update now?
Things are moving really well. We had one area that wasn't moving great in our Founders Club seating, but we made some modifications to that based on some success in other parts of the project. And, we're pretty sure we'll sell out a premium by the time the season opens. We're at over 13,000 season tickets. Headed to what we hope will eventually be 18,000. I'm not too worried about hitting that number this year because single game sales will allow us to actually generate more revenue. It'll allow people to come in, see the product, see the stadium, and then we convert them into season ticket holders. So right now we're very pleased with where that's moving.
I want to dig into the new facility a little bit more, but first let's stick with communication and marketing plan because again, this is a brand new facility. Nobody knows what the seating plan is. Nobody knows what to expect. How did you really market to, I'm going to give you a couple different groups. How did you market to those SDSU VIPs?
So we opened in COVID. We planned all along we would do an experience center. We saw, how important that was as USC renovated the Coliseum, the Rams and the Chargers sold SoFi, LAFC sold their building. So it's basically an immersive experience where you can come in, you get, we show them a hype video to get them fired up. You walk in, full scale model of the stadium, some of our premium areas kind of laid out, and then you can sit down in a mock-up of a suite with a 3D seat viewer, and we can show you every seat in the building and give you a 3D view of what that looks like. So we knew going in that it was going to be important to do that because our fan base didn't know what we were building. I mean, we're building something totally new that, people in San Diego haven't seen. So that's how we got people, from our highest donors all the way down to that person who's got, the ticket in the last row up in the corner. We wanted everyone to have a personal experience.
So was there a different method for kind of approaching those brand new season ticket holders, those single game the folks from the past who were just single game ticket buyers? We
built it out. We started with our highest price product and started at the top of our Aztec club list, which is our the folks that are donating the athletic department. And we started there and we just started working down, and we went through each level of premium. And then, while we're doing that, we're out marketing to the community that, hey, we've started selling tickets. If you want to get in on this, become an Aztec Club member, buy, current season football tickets, or you can sign up on a waiting list. And so we just progressed through our list, putting out milestones as we hit it, and, generating that interest for, to get folks, psyched up about it.
Absolutely. What about communicating and marketing with students?
So we've worked well with our Associated Students group, and trying to understand what's most important to them for their experience. We wanted to make sure, from a concessions, we've got, student section in one end zone. We're using safe standing seating, which is very popular in MLS. Works for our, hopefully our future soccer plans. But it encourages them to stand, but it also gives them a place to prop up on. So that'll be great. But then in the concessions area behind, we're going to be able to offer reduced rate concessions when they use their red ID, so they can use their money that their parents put on their student ID to buy concessions. They won't, we're not going to allow them to buy alcohol, but they can buy everything else at a reduced rate. So, and we've created some social areas there as well, where they'll be able to hang out, mix and mingle with their friends, which is important throughout the stadium. But really trying to create a game day experience for them that, it's not just show up and sit in your seat and cheer on the team, but we want that, but then there's all the other elements that come with it.
Well, I want to kind of dive more into the actual facility itself. Right. And so I'm going to ask it this way. JD, what aspect of SnapDragon Stadium, yep, are you personally most excited about?
I will say this, our architects, Gensler, did a phenomenal job in creating a building that is reflective of San Diego. So probably the most eye-catching area of the building will be what's called the Cichosz Piers. And the piers, Gensler, we really told them, take your inspiration from San Diego. So they said, okay, you've got coastline, you've got piers going out into the ocean. So, and you can go stand out on the end of that pier, watch surfers surf and do all those types of things. So we have elevated standing room only. There's 3 different levels of the piers. 2 of them kind of run parallel to the end zone. And then the 3rd pier at the top runs out into the seating bowl towards the stadium. So it's the pier going into the water. It's the pier going into the stands. People can go stand at the end of that pier, and instead of watching the surfers, they're watching Aztec football. They're watching, Wave FC soccer. They're watching, monster trucks, whatever it may be. So that's going to be a place that, it's the beauty shot. But we've also created other social spaces. We've got one of the main scoreboards has a bar underneath it. There'll be a lot of people that will have access to that. We've got another area that's got a bar, and behind it you've got food trucks, so we can pull food trucks in on every game. And that space is large enough. It's on a day when the building's dark, you could do a 1,000-person concert there. So we really tried to think about all the different social spaces that people want to be in.
What has been so far, for any fans or season ticket holders who have gotten a glimpse either at the full SnapDragon Stadium or went through the experience, the virtual experience. What's been the thing that they are most excited about?
The intimacy of the stadium. So, we played in, SDCCU, Qualcomm, Jack Murphy, San Diego Stadium, whatever you want to call it. And honestly, it was a baseball stadium. So the first level of seats, probably 40 or 50 rows, very low rise. It just wasn't, you were very far from the field. So the new stadium basically fits within what was the lower level seating in the old stadium. So wow. It's very intimate, it's very steep, and people are going to be amazed at how they feel like they're on top of the action. We saw that. Probably the place that really dawned on me most was we went to Sporting KC, their stadium, and again, you just feel like you're on top of the action. So that's the thing that people have been most impressed with was just, wow, I feel like I can reach out and touch the players.
What has been the reaction from the student athletes themselves?
It was funny. We took the football team through, probably right at the end of the spring semester. And for the older guys, they were fired up. It was we still had a lot of work to do. We didn't show them the locker room because it wasn't finished at that point. But we walked them through the field club, and they'll come on the field at midfield, so people in the field club get to cheer them on. And they'll get to process onto the field that way. So we brought them out that way, and the older guys were fired up. The younger guys, I don't think quite knew what to think because they're coming from wherever. But that'll be the place I want to be on game day is when those kids run out onto the field that last time before kickoff, and it's a full building, and they're going nuts. We've never had a home field advantage before. And now we do, and just see the smiles on their faces. They're going to be so excited.
I, as a former student athlete, am so fired up. This sounds so exciting. Well, there's also, as you've mentioned, kind of the opportunity for the community, for the city to utilize the SnapDragon Stadium. And you just announced first concert, Jimmy Buffett and Jason Mraz. Great combo. How has the community embraced SnapDragon Stadium, and what's kind of on the horizon for that access?
It's that was a selling point from the very beginning, that we weren't building a stadium for 7 Saturdays. We were building a stadium that we could keep busy for 365 days. We wanted every person in the community to have a reason to come, and I think we're doing that. We've got Wave FC, the National Women's Soccer League team, Alex Morgan, Abby Dowkemper. Phenomenal names. I think they're at the top of the table right now. They'll start playing there this fall. We've got Legion Rugby. We've got some other shows that we're not ready to announce yet. The ink's dry on the contracts, but we're waiting for them to announce that. The Buffett and Jason Mraz concert. and those three right there have helped the community understand that we're going to deliver on what we said we would deliver. Because for 25 years, it's like, how do we build a new stadium in Mission Valley? How do we fix it up? How do we do something? And nothing got done. And in literally, 3+ years, we've, won a vote, negotiated with the city of San Diego, which was, immensely challenging, and have built a stadium, and we're going to open it. And people are really, so then it was like, well, okay, you built it. What are you really going to bring all the things you said you do? So we're doing that, and that's helping people, sponsors, fans, whatever, want to buy into the stadium now. So we're starting to see that energy build, and it's just going to continue to build because we're going to keep adding phenomenal events to the building. So we've got a bunch of holds for concerts next year that we're still negotiating through. Our hope is to have men's professional soccer, and we're working on that. I had a call on that yesterday, so a lot still to come.
How are you already seeing the impact of this new facility on recruiting, but then also retaining, both from a coaching, staffing perspective, but also, of course, from a student-athlete perspective?
Yeah, our students are excited. Obviously the football team's really excited, but we'll have men's soccer is going to play in the building this fall. Our women's soccer team will play in the building this fall. We're working on lacrosse. We'll play in there next spring. We're hosting the World Lacrosse Games, so it's the World Cup of Lacrosse will be in our building next summer. So students are really excited, and then helping them understand that the success of the building is generating revenue that we're going to be able to plow back into all of our sports. It's not something that just goes into the teams that play there. Everybody will see that benefit. So it's, coming out of COVID, it's kind of been that North Star that we could kind of, get ready for. And then we're working on a strategic plan, an operational plan to really build the roadmap of, we've got new revenue coming in. How do we best utilize that revenue to help all of our teams grow, all of our functional areas grow, so we can provide the best experience possible?
Well, JD, you have such a strong background in facilities, in operations. How did that help you as you went through this entire process? I mean, from scratch, starting from scratch, dealing with the city, dealing with lots of constituents, opinions, pundits, and to actually seeing it now a real
Right.
stadium. How did that help you?
Well, fortunately for everyone on my staff, I didn't have the time to really dive in as deeply, but I've got a great staff. Derek Grice on our side is leading the stadium build. We've got great consultants, Legends and JMI. But being able to talk about what it takes to build a facility, knowing what, a lot of experience in a lot of facilities, knowing what you need to do. How do you make it the best customer, experience, but building out a customer experience that you can actually support. I love architects, but sometimes they can design things that, aren't real functional, or they're incredibly functional, but they're really hard to maintain. So, that also helped. And, again, Gensler, they were great partners with us on that. So having all of that, it helped explain to our constituents. It helped explain as we went through the initiative. It also informed that we wanted to go out and talk to as many people as we possibly could, to get as many ideas as we possibly could, go see as many different facilities as we possibly could, because quite frankly, we wanted to figure out what's worked. We wanted to copy what's worked, and we wanted to make sure we understood what hadn't worked so we don't go down that same road. So, having that background and being able to explain to the architects and the contractors, this is what we want, and also knowing who I needed to go out and hire to help actually execute the plan, to be there day to day, because me being there day to day wasn't something that was reasonable. So, excited we got to do it, and definitely helped me.
Now, not every single program in the country can go and just build a brand new massive stadium from scratch. But for your peers who are pursuing major capital projects, major facilities projects, what is your advice?
I think the big thing right now is you've got to create social spaces. Just building a club space, or building out suites, or we're doing whatever seating option. You've got to build social spaces, and also embrace who you are. That's, again, I told the architects I want a stadium that's 60% stadium and 40% San Diego, and they designed it to that. So as I've talked to other people that are designing major upgrades, don't just build a cookie cutter stadium. Don't let your architect bring in, hey, here's what we did wherever. What's important to your institution? What's important to the community that you live in? And then build that into your facility so that it creates just another level of connection for people to tie into the building. And also make it multi-use as much as you can. Make it something that people want to be there. Obviously, we're fortunate we're in San Diego. We're the only football stadium, soccer stadium in San Diego, so that gives us a leg up. But even in smaller communities, if you build it right, people are going to want to do special functions there.
Well, last big question for you, and I'm maybe going to make you a little bit embarrassed, but athletic directors lately everyone says you need to be a fundraiser. You need to have that external operations background to be a successful athletic director. You're coming with, like I said, strong background in facilities and operations. How has that really just been an asset for you as you are in the big chair and across the board, not just for SnapDragon Stadium, but for every decision you have to make?
The big thing is you have to be able to build relationships. Development is relationships. Running a football game, let's go back to Washington State University, and I'm, running football games. You're dealing with every different area of your athletic department. You're dealing with the city. You're dealing with the institution. So you have to build all these different relationships with all these different people to actually execute a ball game, whether it's 35,000 at Washington State, it was 76,000 at the University of Georgia when I was there. So that allows you to do that. And then when you ascend to the chair, it's creating those relationships. You have development officers that are going to help you go out and continue building those relationships, and then put you in the best place to be to make that ask for whatever the dollars are. And I mean, as you're an AD, I am not the smartest person in the room. I have surrounded myself with people who are very good at the things that they do, but also have a breadth and knowledge that's beyond that. They buy into the culture that we have. I've been able to, I brought some former ADs in, and that's been phenomenal to have that type of experience. I don't need to be the smartest person in the room. I need to surround myself with the smartest people. And that's allowed me to be successful because we have really good people.
I think that does make you the smartest person in the room, because you know what you don't know, and you can find the folks to answer those questions for you. JD Wicker, we are very fired up, just like your student athletes, to kind of welcome in this fall season with the new SnapDragon Stadium. Thank you so much for joining us live here in person at NACDA to share all of the momentum that's happening right now for the Aztecs.
All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the time. I appreciate all the work that y'all are doing. I'm amazed at the number of interviews that are in the D1 ticker every morning, so you're staying busy. But yeah, thank you. It's been fun.
Thank you.